the new Macs that Apple announced. I think it was just yesterday. They announced
Yep.
the new Mac Mini and Mac Studio. These are like standalone, smaller computers you would plug in a monitor and a keyboard to, kind of old school. But they've been selling the Mac Mini forever. Mac Studio is a bit of a newer product for them over the last couple of years. Um, they were upgraded with their
Hold
latest
it up if you
chips.
want to
Oh,
put the
sure.
screen. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Um,
Continue though.
Yeah, so you could see they updated with the latest chips, the M5 and the M6. The M6 chip is their first chip to be to have the 2 nanometer process, which just means it could
Wow.
do more with less energy, basically.
Okay.
That 2 nanometer chip though is only on the Mac Mini, not the Mac Studio yet. It's like the base level version of the chip. And interestingly, the Mac Mini, which originally was like their cheapest Mac, uh, has gone up $300 since they released the M4 version of the Mac Mini. Again, this is the M6 version now. Now it starts at 899.
Right.
So it's pretty steep increase over these 2 generations. But and I think this is the bigger deal outside of the better specs, is how they are marketing these computers. So I took some screenshots here where, and let me see if I could zoom in a little. It is all about AI for these 2
Mm.
computers, where they're calling out agentic AI, AI apps on Mac, AI features in apps, just random AI in the title there.
Is that
Um,
a legit like
this is a
Apple ad?
screenshot from, yeah, no, this is
Okay.
a screenshot from the website.
Okay, gotcha.
Um, yeah, AI models, AI apps. And keep in mind, this company a couple years ago refused to mention AI.
AI.
They would only call it Apple Intelligence.
Right,
And
right.
that never took off from a zeitgeist perspective and from a technical perspective. Um, but I do think that they are onto something where they've there's been a lot of demand for these computers, especially since OpenClaw, where
Yeah.
there's this new use case for them, where I think Apple is missing the mark right now is with all the other professional use cases, Apple put their foot forward with on the software side. So if you are a video editor, they have Final Cut. If you are a music producer, they have Logic Pro. Obviously, they don't have an AI model yet. Obviously,
Mhm.
they are working towards that. But what I think they could do in the meantime is make it easier to run these open source models on their computers.
100%.
Like, have some sort of middleman software that downloads, manages, updates, and gives it access to the entire computer.
Yeah.
So those are my initial thoughts. What do you think about these
Yeah,
latest
I
updates?
I agree. First of all, I think like Apple just continues to nail it with their hardware updates with every major update, and this is no different. One thing that, in general, I think they've done really well is that the Mac Studio, in particular, is essentially their Pro line of Macs, and I'm surprised that the Mac Pro specifically has been such a dud. I mean, it has this ginormous case, but it's like lacking behind on like the processors that can go in there. It's lacking behind in every respect. And it takes up 10 times as much room, maybe 20 times as much room as a Mac Studio, takes up way more power and has way less actual power and capabilities. And then it costs a ton more, the Mac Pro. And that line, much like their sort of the monitor that costs $6,000 and stand that costs $1,000 for that $6,000 monitor has been a huge failure. The Mac Studio has been a huge success, and for people who want this sort of like pro line of computers, so I think they've done a really good job in that sense. I agree with you though that they could really benefit from taking one of the open source models and even tuning it for their Macs.
Yeah.
Apple's really good at like optimizing software and their even operating system for memory usage in particular, and like better utilizing paging and whatever necessary to sort of like really eke out extremely high performance out of a small amount of memory. Like their MacBook Neo is a perfect example of a machine that outperforms every other computer out there in the Windows world with just 8 gigs of RAM, which is pretty incredible. So if they took one of the open source models and optimized it for memory and then optimized it to run on their Mac Mini or Mac Studio, I think it would just, it could do wonders for them. People are
There's
doing that
also
anyway, but yeah, go
sorry,
ahead.
there's also precedent of this in regards to their actual operating system is based on Linux, which is
Yeah,
an open source operating system that
yeah,
they have taken and made their own. So they could do the same play for AI. In
right.
regards to your comments about the Mac Pro, which I think they discontinued.
Have
Um,
they? I thought they
I
still sell
believe
it,
I believe they did. I mean, what's the point now?
but yeah,
I mean, if they didn't discontinue it, they
they
haven't
should
updated
be.
it in years. They did announce, I believe it was a new feature for the Mac Studio. I forget what they're calling it, but you could basically daisy chain or connect up to 4 Mac Studios together, and they could pool their processing power and memory and resources to have
Hmm.
so you could have an even superior computing experience.
Wait, did
So
you say you wish they did this,
no,
or they did?
they did this as part of the new Mac Studio. You
Oh,
could buy up to
oh,
4,
really?
connect them, and have an even more powerful computer. So that's almost like what you were saying, where it's the Mac
Right.
Pro is like 20 times the size. Well, you could actually get 4 times the size and have an even better computer. You just
That's
have to buy each
amazing.
one individually.
Right, right. That's pretty amazing. That would be
Yeah.
pretty cool. If you enjoyed this clip, consider subscribing to the Buy Hold Rant podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify. New episodes are released every Wednesday, and you can watch them live on YouTube.